the website a couple days after the meeting, so anyone can, if they miss the meeting, can certainly go find the same information. So that's why we record them. So again, I'm Amy Birch, and I'm a traffic engineer and consultant that works with NDOT to facilitate the traffic calming program. And also on the call, we have Dylan Weaver, and Dylan's gonna make sure if there's anything in the chat box that make sure I don't miss it or bring my attention to that as we go forward. But yeah, if we feel free to ask questions as you can either unmute yourself and ask questions or use the chat box. Either whatever works for you is fine for us. So we're here to talk about Wallace Road and the neighborhood traffic calming project that we have NDOT has for this street. So that's what we're here for. And I'm going to go back to just some background information just to let people know what our traffic calming program does, but it's focuses on residential streets, and we are looking to implement physical solutions that encourage slower speeds, low speeds over the length of the street. And so we're primarily targeting speed reduction. And then the 3 E's of traffic calming are educating people why we want slower speeds on residential streets and all streets really. Also enforcement, and that's the job that the police department does. But what this program primarily focuses on is the engineering, and that's how are we modifying or changing the design of the street to get the slower speeds that we want on residential streets. So we look at this program as with the safety and vision zero in our mind, because we're in this diagram, what we're showing is the correlation between speed and a pedestrian's ability to survive if struck by a vehicle going that speed. So there's a strong relationship there. So as this with the speed limit of or a speed of 25 miles per hour, a pedestrian, if they're struck, has an 89% chance of survival. And then as that speed goes up to 35 miles per hour, the chance of survival goes down to 68%. And as up to 45 miles per hour, that chance of survival goes down to 35%. So this is really why we're targeting residential streets and trying to get those vehicle speeds to a slow pace on residential streets. So this program is very popular. As of February of 2023, when Wallace Road was selected for traffic calming, the program had applications for 464 neighborhood streets. So great, a lot of demand, and so Wallace was selected out of that number of streets that had requested traffic calming because of the characteristics of Wallace Road and the data that we collected. Wallace Road was selected for traffic calming, and along with 25 other streets. It was one of 26 neighborhood streets. So the pink lines on this map on the right are just showing the kind of distribution of where those streets are that have requested traffic calming. So outside of the neighborhood traffic calming program, we always like to point people to the hub because there's it's a great way to reach the right departments within metro government. So you know, things like storm drains being clogged or street lights out, signs being you know, new signs needed, or signs have been like knocked down or graffitied or anything like that. That's the best place to make that request to metro government, and it's called the hub because it takes all that information and requests and disseminates it to the right department that can actually handle that request. So it's not just NDOT issues, but all metro departments. So it's hub.Nashville.gov or call 311, and there's also an app you can download onto your phone. And the really great thing about the way it works is you can get a request number and then follow up on it if you need to. All right, back to Wallace Road though. I'm showing here our map of Wallace Road, and it's highlighted in yellow in the middle of the map. And that's the limits of this project. It's between Humber Drive and Willard Drive. This map is also showing kind of a snapshot of other nearby streets that are in the program or have been completed for traffic calming projects. So you're probably very familiar living in this neighborhood or along Wallace Road that traffic calming has been installed on Faulkner and Turley and Willard. Those are the blue broken lines there. And then the green lines are projects that are in progress. So that's Wallace Road. We're still working through that project. And then Tampa Drive was recently selected for traffic calming. So that's a project that's getting started. And then the pink lines are other nearby streets that have requested traffic calming but have not been selected yet, but we have an application on file. So along Wallace Road, we have two always stops along the stretch, one at Humber and one at Turley. So that's the limits of our project there. Now we're going to talk about what traffic calming measures we've recommended for Wallace Road. This is going to look pretty similar to what we presented at our first meeting back around the end of May. So we're recommending speed cushions on Wallace in a few locations, but these speed cushions, as shown in these pictures, are rubber devices. They're modular, so we can kind of place them in various configurations depending on the characteristics of the street. But they I recognize you guys probably experienced these already in your neighborhood because they're installed on Faulkner and Willard. So I don't want to linger too much on this because I think you know what it is, what these devices are, but the size that we're looking at for Wallace is the 14 feet long. That's the length as you travel over them. And it's going to look much like the picture in the top left, which is a configuration with basically one cushion device in each lane. And we always pair these with warning signage like you see in this picture as well to alert drivers of the device and the advisory speed of 20 miles per hour. They also have the pavement markings on the device that show the arrows of direction of travel. So NDOT has deployed traffic calming and specifically speed cushions on a number of streets across the city as of now. And the NDOT has done a before-after study to see what the effects of these measures have been on streets that were installed on. So we looked at 6 streets where we've installed these devices and found that the average speed was reduced from 31 miles per hour to 22 miles per hour. And that's the graph on your left, and the graph on the right is showing the 85th percentile speed, and that's the speed that 85% of the traffic is going that speed or below. And so the 85th percentile speed comparison of before and after was 37 miles per hour before to 25 miles per hour after. So this before-after study really showed us that these devices are working, and they're working in Nashville as they're intended to. So we think they can be very successful when properly placed. We're also recommending radar feedback signs on a portion of Wallace Road. These are the speed limit signs that show a driver their speed as they approach, they are also pretty effective. We're seeing average speed reduction of 6 miles per hour for the average speed, and 7 miles per hour for the 85th percentile speed reduction. So they're still effective, and they're constantly giving that feedback to drivers. And they're paired with a speed limit sign. So now I'm going to show, this is the concept, and it's pretty similar to what we showed at the first meeting, the locations of the speed cushion devices in relation to the always stops on the street. So we have the always stop at Humber, and then about 500 feet, we have a set of speed cushions, and then spacing another about 500 feet, another set of speed cushions, and then working further east, we have the always stop at Turley, and then you all are very familiar, I'm sure, with the steep grade that happens basically from Turley down towards Hillbrook Drive as we go east on Wallace. And so that's where we've recommended the radar feedback signs, because we have limitations on where we can install the cushions devices. They can't be installed on steep grade. So that's why we weren't able to put one in that section, but we wanted to target that area. So we think radar feedback signs is a good way to do that, because we know that the speeding is likely happening in that, downhill direction there. So then we have one more set of cushions basically between Hillbrook and Willard Drive. I'm going to show another couple of plans. So this is, it's the same plan, it's just a different format to show it. And this will be the plans that you'll see posted online when we go into the ballot phase of this. So I just want to make sure everyone sees that. And then we can kind of zoom in more closely into the plan to show the fact that we'll have the speed cushion signs paired with the speed cushion sets. So this is the west side of the street. So we have one near one set on either side of Faulkner, essentially. So these numbers that are shown on the houses, those are the house addresses, so to give you an idea of where those cushions are going to be placed. And when we place these cushions, we're avoiding, street intersections, but also driveways. We're trying to space those out such that when you're turning onto or off out of your driveway, you're not going to meet a cushion right at the back of your driveway. So that presents a little bit of challenge sometimes in laying out these devices, because driveways aren't always aligned with each other. So, but we do look specifically at that when we're laying out the design. So we'll have a warning sign placed at each device, and they're shown like this just for simplicity on the map. But what we do is we will typically place the sign right next to the cushion, so that discourages and prevents drivers from being able to drive around the device, because that signpost is there, so that people are not driving in yards. Because we have found, and I think even around in your neighborhood on these other streets, that was happening. So that's how we tried to put those signs so that drivers don't drive around them in people's front yards. So now working to the east side of the street, we've got a WeGo bus stop here at Turley Drive. So we're just pointing that out. And that's where the always stop is. And then the grade starts to drop pretty much from there going east. So we're showing a radar feedback sign kind of in that downgrade as you approach the curve, facing the traffic that's going east. We have one radar feedback sign there. And then in the opposite direction, we've placed one kind of in that curve as drivers are coming around the curve and starting to kind of head up the hill there. So that's where we've placed those. And then we have one more set right just a little bit before you get to Willard Drive. That's Willard Drive on the right. That's you can see in the aerial. This is showing how the devices lay out in the road. So we've got about 4 feet of spacing between them. That's where the center line is, and then they are 6 feet wide. And then we have about 3 feet on either side of the device with the speed cushion. So I might pause there and just ask if there are any questions about the plan before we move on to next steps. Feel free to ask questions or put them in the chat box if you'd like. Hearing none, I'll move on, but feel free to speak up if you have something comes to you. So now,
I've got one.
yeah, sure.
What's NDOT's cost for the 14-foot speed cushion? Do you know off the top?
For one cushion?
Mm-hmm. I guess they usually go in sets, of course.
Right. That is something I should know, but I can get back to you. Overall, I think our plan is typically in the $30,000 to $50,000 for our projects, but that device, I'll have to get back to you on that. If you could put your email or contact information in the chat box, I'll grab that and get that answer to you. I can probably look it up in just a second.
Oh, there's no rush. Good.
Thanks. Any other questions?
No.
Okay. All right. I'm pulling it up now. We don't have any other questions.
And I just messaged.
So, and of course, oh, thank you. Thank you. We, there's costs associated with the device and there's costs associated with the install and all of that. So, it looks like one is about 1,300. Oh, no, that's not right. About 2,500. But there's also costs associated with the signs as well as all of that. So, all right, moving on. This is showing our program flow chart here, and the application, we have an application window 2 times per year now. And so Wallace, there was an application for Wallace Road, and it was selected through our prioritization and selection process in February of this year. And so what we do is all the streets that have applied for traffic calming, we do a data-driven analysis to determine which streets have the greatest need, and then we match that with the budget that's allocated towards for the traffic calming program. So at the time when Wallace was selected, it was one of 26 streets that was selected. So from there, then we have our first meeting with the neighborhood. We talk about a lot of the stuff that we've talked about in this meeting, the background of how the prioritization process works. We give information about the tools in our toolbox and present a draft concept of what we've put together for Wallace. And then we get any feedback that we can from the neighborhood or maybe a consensus that we're on the right track and the concept looks good. Then we go and we do the more detailed design for the project, which is what I've just presented. And then we have our second meeting. Just like the first meeting, that meeting is advertised with the postcards to all the residents along the affected section of the street. We present our final concept and talk about our next steps, and then the next steps, I'm going to go in more detail about that, but that's the online ballot and then into the construction phase. So our balloting will be what we move into next, and this is really how NDOT determines if there's neighborhood support for the project. So what we do is we send the postcard ballots out to all of the residential property owners along the length of the street. These are sent in the mail, and each one has a unique ID code that is used when you go to the online ballot. So it has a link to take you to the online ballot. You can also see the plans. The traffic calming plan will be posted on NDOT's website, so you can view that plan and vote yes or no for the project. This balloting period is a 6-week window, so the closing date of the vote will be on the postcard at the top right. And essentially, if 66% of the respondents to the vote vote yes, then the project will move forward and into the construction phase. So this is an example in the top left of what these postcards look like, so you know what to look for in the mail, but they're very similar to the meeting postcards that you've received for this meeting. And then the picture on the bottom left is kind of what the top of the form looks like when you go to vote, but it's anonymous. You know, we ask for your name and everything, but we don't post anywhere, you know, how anyone voted specifically. We just tally the results of the votes. So to show you the eligible votes, properties that will be eligible to vote for the Wallace traffic calming project are shown here in yellow. So it's all residential properties. We also allow churches and schools to get to vote if there are those types of properties along the street. So it's only the properties that have frontage abutting the affected street. And then there are sometimes owners that have multiple properties along a street, but each owner only gets one vote. So even if they own 6 properties on the street, we're still gonna only allow one vote per owner. And then vacant properties are not eligible to vote, and businesses are not eligible. So commercial businesses are not eligible. So like these properties, these larger properties at either end of the street, they're under one ownership. So they're not individual units. So that will get, those would get one vote, one postcard, and one opportunity to vote. Are there any questions about the voting and the balloting? I want to make sure everyone understands it's not 66% of all the properties need to vote yes. It's 66% of those that vote. 66% of the vote, just like, I guess, an election. So we've moved away from the petition that some of the other streets in nearby had to go through when those projects were being done. They used the old petition format, but now we do this online ballot vote. So our next steps from here is, you know, we leave this meeting and we're ready on our end to move forward with the NDOT postcards and getting the ballots out. So that takes us about 2 weeks to get those ballots out to mailboxes, and then that's a 6-week window of the online ballot being open. And then from there, if the project is receives the enough yes votes, if it's 66% or more of the voters are in favor of the project, then we'll move forward with ordering the materials for the project and then installing. So overall, that's about an 8-month period. And I should have mentioned about the ballot postcards. There's also a phone number on the postcard. So if someone receives the the postcard and they're unable to vote online for any reason, they can contact someone at NDOT for assistance there. So this is the contact information. It's my contact information as well as the NDOT traffic calming email address if you need to reach out or have any questions about the plan or the process. And that's, are there any other questions on the call or any concerns about the
I
plan?
missed.
Were you saying something, Mr. Bull?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. I live just outside this area on Wallace, headed towards Nolensville Pike, and there's a crosswalk there across the Southern Hills Hospital, which clearly marked, but so many people treat that as an opinion, and we look carefully when we look uphill, in particular. But I guess that's for another time because that area of Wallace is not being addressed in this plan, as I understand it.
That's right. The project starts at Humber and goes to Willard. So you're talking about, I guess, west of west of Humber.
And a positive thing is, before I decided to jog in the morning at Coleman Park, where there's an outdoor running track, I got bumped at Tampa Drive and Harding. So y'all are addressing some positive features, and at some time I'm sure there'll be some traffic calming further on down Wallace. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, we can it didn't look like from our I'll scroll back to our first map. It doesn't look like we have an application on file for any other sections of Wallace. So you're talking about the section between Humber and Nolensville
Exactly.
Road, right? So the next application window is probably going to be in the new year. It'll be in, I'm not exactly sure what month, but it might be like February or March. So maybe stay tuned for that. Yes?
Hi, this is Piero.
Oh, hi, Piero.
Yeah, it'll be March 1st to March 14th.
Great. Good, good. So I would encourage you to apply for that section of roadway of Wallace to, and the application, it's an online application and you can just find that at NDOT's website, which I'll scroll back because I do have that on here. TrafficCalming.Nashville.gov, and that is our, that's where we post these videos of the meetings as well as the results of the ballot. So you'll be able to look that up shortly after the ballot closes. Those results are posted there. A lot of information about our toolbox is there, the plans for all of our traffic calming projects that are either completed the ballot or in the ballot window. Those are posted there. So just a lot of really great information on the website, as well as our tracker, our online tracker, which is where that map came from with the different colored lines on the streets. That has information about, you know, when a street was applied for, whether or not the project's finished or if it's in progress and so forth. So a lot of great information there. So I would encourage you to go there and complete an application for that section of Wallace if you're interested in traffic calming on that section.
Okay, that's very helpful. And again, what's the window for that?
It's going to be March 1st through 14th, so it's a 2-week window. And the last one that we had, application window we had, was in September.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so we didn't have a lot of folks participate here, but Councilwoman, do you still feel good about moving forward with sending the ballots out and getting that going?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and I'll make sure to include this recording, a link to the recording in the newsletter and on my social media pages for anyone. And if they have any questions, I'll send them over to you.
Great. That's wonderful. Well, we will get those postcards out then in the next couple of weeks for the ballots. I appreciate everyone's time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.